Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hobby Lodge, and today I'm going to be talking to you about something I don't often get to talk about, which is physical homebrew for the Amiga. I've only done one or two other games, I think, in the history of the channel, so they don't come up very often, so I don't get often to talk about them. But I'm really excited to talk about this one because I've been waiting for it for some time. I believe I placed the order back in August for this game, and it only arrived a week or so ago, and I've been sitting down playing it. Now, you can probably guess it already because it's over my shoulder there. It is Black Dawn Technomage from the publishers BitMap soft, but obviously lots of people involved in this game, and I will go through who they are. But yes, I've absolutely got some game footage of it, so I'll give you a little bit of speech about what goes on inside the box, and then we'll jump over to the table and I'll talk about the game as well. I'm actually going to talk over the game. The game is quite slow, like deliberately slow. It's not meant to be a fast-paced, action-packed game, so I wasn't going to play it live for you guys and talk whilst I played it, because I think it might be a little bit difficult to watch. I don't think it's a streaming game. Let's just jump off on top of that, right? So I think it's a game you sit down with and you deliberately spend a few hours getting into it, because it's slow, it's deliberate, and it's meant to be the way it is. But anyway, let's jump into the box, because it always is nice to get a physical box for these games and see what's in there. Now, when you get your box, if you do decide to buy this, I think it's £42.50, I think it is, plus a bit of shipping to wherever you are. You're going to get your box. It's not quite going to close properly. They decided to make a box that was slightly too small for the stuff that goes in it. But it's not too much of a problem. And the reason why it puffs open is because the first thing inside the box is a mouse mat, and the mouse mat doesn't fit as it would normally. It has to be folded, and therefore that makes the box puff out a bit. So once you've removed your mouse mat, you will find that your box closes no problem at all. And so let's have a look what else is in here. We've got the manual, nice color printed manual, always looks nice. It's not a very thick manual. There aren't much to go through in the game, really, but every page is nicely presented. It tells you everything you need to know. There is a little bit of story about the game. Essentially, you're going to take revenge on someone who's basically annihilated an entire planet and turned it into his machine robot labyrinth hell, and you're going to be deployed to the planet to take him down. That's pretty much the gist of the story. But yeah, every page is nicely just demonstrated, shows you all the controls for the game, but you're only talking 6 or 7 pages maximum, so a very sort of all you need to know manual sort of thing. You also get a lovely little bar mat. I'm sure no one's actually going to use it for anything other than just keep it inside the box. There is a little sticker, so you can decorate your disc box or something like that if you wanted to. Maybe that's what I'll do with mine, like you used to do when you were a kid, stick it on your disc box. And then a little customer notice here about the types of Amiga this will run on. I'm running it on an Amiga 1200, which has got an accelerator card in it, but nothing like this talks about vampires and stuff like that. So I think if you've really maybe messed around with the Amiga 1200 quite significantly, then you might have some issues running the game because it wasn't designed for that. But so I can tell you now, on a stock Amiga with a couple of RAM upgrades, it runs absolutely fine. So yeah, and I guess I should have mentioned at the beginning, it is an Amiga 1200 game, so you do need to be running it on that hardware. And the nice thing about it is hard drive installable. You can run it from discs, of which there are 3, and I'll show you those in a second. But absolutely, just install it on your drive. It saves disk swapping, and it loads really quickly. It's a nice fast-paced speed load for that part of it anyway. Yeah, and then inside you've got your 3 discs. So I don't know what else to tell you. They are 3 discs. There they are. Not much more to say than that, other than they are discs. Each one of them has a nice little different image on it, which is quite nice. So it's not just 3 repeats of the same disc. They've all got their own image. Yeah, the first thing I did was install it. It took literally a couple of minutes, and it was done. I'll show you the mouse mat again, because I didn't really show you it, did I? I just kind of held it up and said it was folded in the box. But there you go. It's the Technomage kind of front cover on a mouse mat. So if you don't have a mouse mat for your Amiga yet, there you go. You now do have one. So yeah, I've been using it, and it works perfectly fine as a mouse mat, no problems at all. Inside the box, you've just got like an inlay to hold all the stuff together, nice little place for the discs to go, and away you go. So what I'm going to do now is jump over to the game, and then I will talk about the game whilst we take a look at it. All right, so I shall see you there in a sec. So yes, as I said, it's a standard Amiga 1200 with some RAM upgrades, but I have gone ahead already and done the install process, so I suggest you do the same if you can. It makes the game run a lot faster. And I'm going to just be quiet for a minute because the music in this game is fantastic. There we go. So obviously I've been playing a little bit, so I will load the game from a load file, which is nice. You can obviously save your game, so save your progress. It's just a simple case of giving it a file name and saving it. It does, I'll say this, when you first do this, you will see what may look like corrupted screens, and I can assure you they're not corrupted. It's just the process it goes through when it's loading the game. So for both saving and loading, you might get some funky looking screens. Don't panic, just wait a second and they will load. And here we are, we're in the game. So the interface around you is familiar to those people that have maybe played Eye of Beholder games in the past. You have your directional pad, so which direction you wish to travel in. Now I would recommend using the keys. You can use the mouse to click those buttons, but as you can see my mouse isn't moving, and that's because I'm using the WASD and Q and E keys to move around the screen, and it is significantly faster. Clicking with the mouse, there seems to be some sort of lag in response, so you can only click once or twice, maybe once every couple of seconds. So moving is so much slower. Using the keys, you're able to zip around much faster. So as you can see, you've got your health bar, your mana bar. This game works if you know any sort of Dungeons and Dragons type games. This works very similar to that, in that you have dice rolling essentially happening in the background. So as I'm getting attacked by this enemy here, they are hitting and missing based on my armor class, which I think was 17, I think, in this, and as you hit back, either using the gun or the bat, you can see that I'm clicking on, I am essentially rolling a dice against their armor class, and as long as I beat their armor class, I hit, and then damage is also rolled on a dice. So again, very akin to a lot of those games, and I keep thinking of Eye of Beholder is the one that probably most people will know the most for, these kind of dungeon crawling games. Unlike that game though, you are only controlling your one character, you're not controlling four. That might have been interesting, to actually being able to have a party of players rather than a single player, but yeah, you can see I'm just kind of going around picking up the loot after destroying these robots, and then equipping it to my inventory. So you can see I've got boots on, I've already got armor, I've got a gun and a baseball bat, and obviously this is a syringe, and the icons are very sort of like, what they are, so you can tell straight away this is probably some sort of healthier. Red tends to be health, it's a needle, I'm going to take a guess it's a health jab. But as you can see, as I pick it up, I do get a little tooltip up here telling me what it is, and the same with these, they look like ammo, and it's ammo from my little pew pew gun, which to be honest doesn't do much damage, so I do tend to use the baseball bat quite a lot. But yeah, you can see you've got a little map on the top right corner. That is very useful for navigating your way around. You can see where you've been and where you haven't been. There are these panels on the walls. There's also hidden objects on the walls sometimes, so you might not want to just fly past all of the walls. If you can, make sure you try and click everything to see if you can unlock any of the secrets. I have found some secret rooms, that's where I got my piece of armor from. But yeah, ultimately this game is all about exploration and fighting off the hordes of monsters. There are lots of locked doors, there are lots of traps, and you're trying to navigate your way around. For instance, this door is locked, and I know it's locked because when you click on it, it tells you so, but I can tell it needs a green key because there's a green symbol on the side of it, and if I remember rightly, I am carrying a green key card. So there we go, I simply drop that onto the door and the door has opened, and then yeah, off I go. I can now continue on the journey. So yeah, I mean, it's like what I said, it's, would you play this game on a live stream, or would you play this game for excitement? Not really. I think this game is one of those ones you'd sit down for with a few hours in your pocket and go, right, I'm gonna spend some significant time playing this. It's quite slow paced, and I think that is all very purposeful. I think it could have done with multiple parties, like like Beholder and those types of games, because you are playing this one class, you are alone in this mission that you have, and that might get a little bit boring after some time. The music and sound effects is absolutely fine. The music just loop at the moment, so I don't know if there's different music in different areas, but certainly everything I've played so far has been the same track. So whilst it sounds good, I definitely feel like it might grate on you a little bit over time, but yeah, otherwise, you know, just absolutely fine. The game plays absolutely fine. I've got no issues with whatsoever. It was quite easy to work out what all of the interface does. It was quite easy to, you know, just work through the game. The instruction manual gives you everything you need to know, so it's always handy to have that near as you're playing. And yeah, there are 3 classes you can play. There is a fighter, who I'm playing at the moment. There is a sniper, and there is a Technomage. And the Technomage obviously uses spells to navigate and fight. So I just went with the fighter because it's my first playthrough. Fighters tend to be the sort of best all-rounders, you know, if you're gonna not know what you're doing yet. But I'm assuming the class you really want to get to play is the Technomage, because hey, that's what the game's called. It is called Black Dawn Technomage after all. So that would probably be what I'd recommend once you've gotten to the use of the mechanics of the game, is give it a play. So yeah, in the menu system here, you're able to go to sleep, for instance, to gain back your health and your mana. You cannot sleep when there is enemies in the vicinity, and it will actually come up and tell you that you can't do that. But yeah, hopefully this is giving you a quick bit of look of the game. Like I say, it plays fine. Please don't use the mouse for movement. Get used to using the keys for movement. It will make your life a lot better. Yeah, menu system, this is your character. So again, I'm level 2. I've got my strength deck, and the AC is my armor class, and you're able to save and load the game. So this is me just saving it up for now. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to exit out, and I shall come back to you and have a chat about the game, but I'll just let this play out to the end. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed just a little bit of a snippet of Black Dawn Technomage there. So what are my final thoughts on the game? Well, as I said, it is deliberate in how it plays. You know, you really have to want to sit down and get stuck into this adventure and play through it. It is not a fast-paced action game by any stretch of the imagination. It is all about exploration, and well, I have no idea what I'm going to come up against in the future, but for the moment, what I've played, I've enjoyed it. I could see maybe little elements maybe grating a little bit, like if the music doesn't maybe change up a little bit, that might damage it a bit. But there is the option to turn the music off. But then if I do that, what am I left with? Because the rest of the sound effects weren't really sort of setting my world on fire. But yeah, you know, really happy to see more and more homebrew, especially physical homebrew, coming out on the Amiga 1200. So absolutely, I'll be going back to it and playing it again, and maybe down the line I can give a bit of an update on where I am maybe 6 months from now. How much more have I played? How much further into this world have I managed to reach? So, you know, is my recommendation to buy it? I think it probably is to check it out, but this is where I'm a little bit conflicted, because unfortunately this game is published by a company at the moment that I think is in real trouble, and I hope they sort themselves out, because I cannot recommend you put money into BitMap Soft, unfortunately, because of the runnings I've had with them over the 3-4 times I've dealt with them. I've either ended up with faulty products, or no products at all, or lack of complete communication, or refunds taking forever, and even in this case, you know, a product that I ordered back in August with very little communication about what was happening with it, and you know, it turned up by surprise. Now thankfully, when it did turn up, it's a pretty good product. You know, it's been produced quite well, but my worry is that this company is, you know, representation for, you know, some fantastic developers out there, you know, people who do the graphics, the music, the gameplay, the coding, and all the stuff that goes in there. And then, you know, this is the front man in BitMap Soft. So, you know, when you see this game, you see them, the publisher. And my worry is that people might make a judgment on that. And certainly I have, and that's a real shame, right? Because I know that the people behind the game are doing the best they can. They then hand that product over to a publisher and hope they do the bit of their job. And unfortunately for me, this is a company that keeps falling over. Now, I know there's been lots of reasons around, moving of site and changing maybe some of the direction they're going with some of their products. But a lot of that for me sounds like excuses, because many other publishers are doing a fantastic job at this, producing homebrew products in physical format across a myriad of different systems and smash it out the park every time. But unfortunately for me, every dealing I've had with these guys has led to some sort of icky feeling about the whole deal, to the point where unfortunately this was the last product I said I'd ever buy, until those problems were sorted out. So look, the game I can recommend as far as buying it from BitMap Soft, I'm going to have to say you make your own judgment. You pay your money, you take your chance, sort of thing. I personally have lots of runnings in with them, so what I would say to you is don't expect it to be a smooth, simple transaction. You may also have some problems. But the game itself, which is what I'm here to talk about mainly, I enjoyed, and I hope more can come from these sorts of things. I hope there's more Amiga homebrew games that come out physically. I know there's a bunch of people out there have produced some recently, and I'm hoping to get my hands on them as soon as I can. I do pay for this with my own money, so I'll always give you my honest opinion. But yeah, really happy. Product looks nice, all the bits are working, the game plays well. It has, well, hopefully you've seen it, and whether that is your type of thing or not. But that's it, that's my review of the game. Hope you liked it. If you did, give us a like, give us a comment, tell me about what you think of the game or what other things I've said, and if you've got any comments on that. But hopefully you enjoyed it, and I should see you on the next video. All right, thanks very much for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.